Here's the thing about sales that nobody tells you enough. Selling is not something that you do to someone. It's something that you do for someone. It's choosing your own comfort over their transformation. And that is the real act of selfishness. Not closing, not following up, not staying in the conversation past the point where it gets a little uncomfortable. We are managing our own fear, not their experience. And that, wrapped up in the language of I don't want to be pushy, is the most invisible way that women leave money on the table. I want to talk about a belief today that I think is quietly ruining your business. Not loudly, not obviously, just really quietly underneath the surface. Hidden under language that sounds really reasonable, but actually, it just kind of goes something like this. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to come across as someone who just wants people's money. Does this sound familiar? I bet it does. Because I hear the version of this from women all the time. And on the surface, it sounds humble, it sounds ethical, it sounds like you have integrity. But here's what it's actually doing. It's giving you permission to not sell. And not selling, when you have something that really helps people, is not humble, it's just kind of selfish. I know this episode is going to land really well with you today, so stay with me. Welcome to the High Ticket Portal podcast. I'm Vanessa, and this episode is the one that will shift your entire relationship with selling. So let me tell you a story about a woman who's a good example of this. Let's name her Sally. Sally was someone who could talk about her offer all day long in a way that felt comfortable, educational, it's really informative, it's inspiring. She could write content about it. She could share results. She could talk about the transformation on a call for 40 minutes. And then when it was time to close, she would go really soft. She would go really reasonable and think about being reasonable and say things like, sure, take your time, no pressure, just think about it, come back to me when you're ready, and end the call really warm. And then Sally would never hear from her potential clients ever again. Because here's what she didn't understand at the time. When she backed off, when she said, just go think about it, take your time, she wasn't just being kind. She abandoned herself and her potential client at the time when they both needed her the most. That was also the moment when her fear was the loudest, when the doubt crept in, when the version of herself that played small was the version that felt familiar and comfortable and safe. And that version won in that moment, all because she didn't want to be pushy. Now, here's the thing about sales that nobody tells you enough. Selling is not something that you do to someone. It's something that you do for someone. When you're genuinely convinced, like in your bones convinced, like you know that what you have can change their lives for the better, then not selling to that person is withholding something that they need. It's choosing your own comfort over their transformation. And that is the real act of selfishness. Not closing, not following up, not staying in the conversation past the point where it gets a little uncomfortable. Think about it from a different angle. Imagine if you were a doctor and you had a patient, and that patient came to you with a bunch of symptoms, and you recognized all of the symptoms immediately, and you knew the diagnosis, you knew the treatment, and then the patient said, oh, I'm not so sure, I think I need to think about it. Would you say, oh, of course, no pressure, just let me know when you decide if you want this treatment that will save your life? You would probably stay in the conversation. You would probably help them understand what's going to happen if they don't treat it. You would advocate for their health, probably with a bunch of care, not because you needed to sell them the treatment, but because you know what they need in that moment. That's what selling is. And when you do it right, everyone benefits. So let me give you a reframe that changed everything for me. Instead of asking yourself, how do I close the person? How do I get this sale in? Ask yourself, what does she lose if she doesn't say yes today? Not to manipulate people with fear, but to get yourself anchored in what's actually true. Because when you are crystal clear on what your potential client loses by staying where she is, another year of the same results, another year of the same income, another year of the same frustrated potential, another year of the same problems, your energy on that call is completely different. You stop selling and you start serving. The woman who says, I need to think about it, she doesn't need you to back off. She needs you to help her get honest with herself. She needs you to gently and warmly say, I hear you, and what will be helpful to think through. Not, oh yes, of course, take your time, have a think, go chat about it with your friends, and then just get back to me when you're done, because the things that she needs to think about, you will have answers for. You're the one that they need to think with. When we back off in a sales conversation, more often than not, we are not doing it to give the client space. We're doing it to protect ourselves from the discomfort of their resistance. We are managing our own fear, not their experience. And that, wrapped up in the language of, I don't want to be pushy, is the most invisible way that women leave money on the table week after week, after month, maybe even year after year. So here's what I want you to practice before your next sales call. I want you to sit with this question and really, really answer it. Do I actually believe that this changes lives? Not, oh, I hope this will change their life. Not, oh, other people have said that it changes lives. Do I actually believe on a cellular level so completely that I will be doing it a disservice to say nothing? If the answer is yes, you believe that this will absolutely 100% help the person on the other side of the call, then your job is not to sell. It's to stay present with someone. Stay present with someone who's so close to completely changing their lives for the better, and to hold a vision of who that person is becoming even stronger than they can hold themselves. That is not just sales, that is leadership. And if the answer is no, you don't believe that it's going to change their lives, and there's a part of you that isn't fully convinced, then that's another conversation we need to have, because you can't sell something that you don't fully believe in. And the work there is internal. That belief has to become before the behavior, before the call, before the sale. And I want to close you with this. The world does not need more women who are really good at backing off and giving space and letting people think about stuff. It doesn't need more women who apologize for their price before offering it, who softens their offerings with, oh, I know it's a lot, or take your time, or no worries if you don't want to. The world needs women who are so grounded in the value of what they do, that they're so genuinely, unshakably convinced that their work matters, that they stay in the conversation even when it gets a little bit uncomfortable, who views selling not as something evil, but something that will make the world a better place. That's the version of sales that changes your income, changes your impact, and changes your relationship with your business. And it starts with this belief shift. Selling is not what you do to people, it's what you do for them. Now, if you want to learn more about high-ticket sales, definitely watch the rest of this series. The link for our free masterclass is in the show notes, and you can even book a call to have a private call with me. I will see you in the next episode.